Welcome to the R.E.A.L.L Academy, brought to you each Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by the
Systems Doctors,
Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, best-selling authors, consultants, and speakers of Create and Educate LLC. Create and Educate LLC is an educational consultant and literary firm that provides professional development to schools and community. Their goal is to transform organizations with the R.E.A.L.L Resilient Framework used to increase their school report card grades 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year. R.E.A.L stands for Respect, Excellence, Accountability, Literacy, and Leadership. This framework is used to coach leaders and teachers and build student efficacy while putting systems in place that aligns the work of the school improvement, making the process manageable. We get into the weeds of work with leaders through their TrustMate Institute that you should contact them about today by filling out the contact form on their website.
The Systems Doctors are very excited to have Dr. J.R. Green joining us for episode 178 of the R.E.A.L Academy. If you have joined us before, you know that all of our special guests are properly introduced. Dr. J.R. Green has spent the past 30 plus years working in K-12 education. During his tenure, he has held positions as a teacher, administrator, assistant principal, assistant superintendent, and superintendent. For the past 12 years, he has served as the superintendent of the Fairfield County School District. The Fairfield County School District has realized tremendous enhancement to the district's curriculum offerings, built or improved multiple facilities, modified the salary schedule for certified and classified staff, and received multiple state and federal recognitions to include the 2020 South Carolina State Teacher of the Year, 2022 National Blue Ribbon School of Excellence, and South Carolina 2021 State Superintendent of the Year. In June 2024, Dr. Green was awarded the prestigious SCASA Lifetime Achievement Award, becoming the youngest recipient to ever receive this award. Dr. Green strongly believes he is purposed to work with and to inspire young people. Among the innovations he launched during his tenure was the Griffin Bowtie Club, a comprehensive group mentoring program for middle and high school male students. The program is centered around the 5 wells of leadership: well-read, well-spoken, well-traveled, well-dressed, and well-balanced. Within a few years of joining the district, Dr. Green was responsible for overseeing the construction of the new Fairfield Career and Technology Center. The center is a state-of-the-art facility with traditional classroom spaces, labs, an automotive center, barber and cosmetology suites, and a Megatronics and Project Lead the Way program. The center provides career and technology programs of study for students throughout the entire county. Dr. Green has earned a Bachelor of Science, Master's of Arts, Master of Education, and Doctorate in Education Leadership from the University of South Carolina. A R.E.A.L Leadership Institute Fellow, Dr. Green is involved in several civic and professional organizations, including the Omicron Iota Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Alpha Iota Bull of Sigma Pi Phi Fraternity, MUSC Board of Trustees, South Carolina Hospital Association Board of Trustees, Board of Directors for Midlands Education and Business Alliance, and United Way of the Midlands Board of Directors. Additionally, Dr. Green serves as a deacon at Mount Pisgah Baptist Church in Ridgeway, South Carolina. A native of South Carolina, Dr. Green currently resides in Columbia, South Carolina with his wife, Tanya, and daughters, Jamara, Janelle, and JCIA. He impresses upon students that education is the foundation of their future. Dr. Green leaves quite a lasting impression on others and enriches their lives with his noble deeds. His philosophy is simply do your best. This is Dr. J.R. Green. Great morning, everyone. It is Super Saturday. Welcome to the R.E.A.L. Academy, brought to you by Create and Educate with your very own systems doctors, HERS. I am Dr. Sheikah Houston, and we've changed it up a little bit where we read the bio this morning of our featured guest in the intro. Good morning, Tammy. You're on mute, Tammy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm sorry. I don't know what in the world is going on with that. But hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's R.E.A.L. Academy. As you have heard, you are in for a very, very special treat. Dr. Green is absolutely incredible, and we look forward to hearing his wisdom this morning.
Absolutely. Each week, your systems doctors bring you information that we hope is helpful to your educational journey. We do this to pay it forward as we have become what we needed when we were in leadership, and that is experienced collaborative support. So after improving our school's 2 and 3 report card grade levels in 1 year with our dynamic staff members, because we know that you can't do work like that alone, and becoming award-winning leaders who have served at the school and district levels, we knew that other leaders and educators needed help with the school improvement process.
For sure. And during that process, we tagged each other as one another's trustmates, because being vulnerable and supportive, we were able to see our way out of that process successfully. And since then, have created the same type of collaboration in the environment that you experience in our Leadership Trustmate Institute. You can contact us about that if you have an interest. We provide support for every level from elementary through secondary through what we call self-selected coaching.
Most definitely. So Pedrick's going to put our website in the comments for you. Just click on that website and fill out the contact form, and we will be in touch with you. So if you don't mind, also please like, share, subscribe, send the stars. You already have been putting comments. Do all of the things that the platforms do in order to help these algorithms and to help all of this great information get out to the people that we need for it to reach.
So each episode every Saturday is a part of our live stream network, the Fantastic Four, starting at 10 a.m. with Principal Sean Hurt, who was on just before us. Yours truly, we're on at 10:30, Create and Educate in the R.E.A.L. Academy. And then at 10:55, leaders, our leader, the mentor and GOAT, comes on in the AP and New Principals Academy with Principal Kafele. And then on Sunday evenings, the PGP podcast with Dr. Moreno and Principal Josh Tovar.
Absolutely. And our platform engineer, Assistant Principal Pedrick Hampton, has been putting your comments up, and we are thankful for him. I'm going to do our R.E.A.L. fam shout out this morning, and you don't have to go through the comments as I'm doing. I'm just going to call the names. Our R.E.A.L. fam, we appreciate you joining us every Saturday. David Bell, thank you for joining us. Stacy L. Joy, Armand Wilson, Rella Hicks, Sherrod Laws, Principal Sean Hurt, who we just saw this morning. He knocked it out of the park as usual. September Devon Vance Daniels, good morning to you. Mr. Lamont Ratchford from Higher Definition, we appreciate you joining us. Jasmine Harris, good morning. Dot McKeever Jeter, we appreciate you, Miss Dot. Also, Angela B., thank you for joining us. Dr. Ross Gaskins, we appreciate you. Dr. Joe Griffin, and the GOAT is in the house. And I reached back to show that I got my book, Principal Kafele. I can't wait to start reading it. I know it's going to be great, and I'm going to post when I start reading it, because I know I'm going to have some great revelations. My mom, Beverly Hall, is here. Thank you, Mom, for joining us. Melissa Jones Chunu, Lynette Wilson. Also, Josh is with us. Principal Edwin Garcia is with us as well. And I think I got everybody. If I missed you, charged it to my head and not my heart. But thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to go ahead and bring our esteemed guest up.
Absolutely. And remember, if we say something good during this episode, make sure you drop comments in the chat, letting Dr. Green know how much we appreciate him this morning. And somebody needs to give me some explanation to why my book has not come. So, Principal Kafele, I'm
sure
going to be mad like you if I don't get my book in the next day or two.
Before we introduce Dr. Green, we've introduced him through his bio, but I want to let everybody know Dr. Green is someone who is very well respected in the state of South Carolina. One of the schools that are a part of the district that he was the superintendent of is a part of our It's Being Done flyers, where we showcase the 90-90-90 work along with great work that is also being done. In addition to that work, that was Dr. Tracy Swilley's school, who's also been a guest with us, and she's a part of our TrustMate Institute as well. He has done some great things that are innovative, creating a new teacher village to make sure that teachers are able to afford housing, but also keep them in the district and in Fairfield County schools. This has been a great and phenomenal project that people are still talking about. His report cards are ones that we show when we go out to present to people to let them know it can be done in districts. This is a small rural district similar to ours, but he left his school district before he retired in very great shape. So we present to you Dr. J.R. Green. He's going to be talking to us today about passing the baton. Welcome, Dr. Green.
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much. So we've already had a great conversation this morning and already started part 2 to this episode with another whole topic. But the work that you have done, as I've showed people, was just phenomenal. And when we talk about passing the baton to the next person that is coming along, what are some strategies and some tips that you can provide? I know as principals, we've had to do that, but not from the superintendent level. And when you've done so much great work like you have done in Fairfield, you definitely want to see the work continue, but then the other person coming along also wants to create their identity as well. So what are some tips and strategies along those lines for us this morning?
Well, before I even kind of talk about the tips and strategies that we needed to employ in Fairfield, it's important that we kind of provide some context to where Fairfield was before I arrived. And so as I talk about in my book, Graveyard, The Blooming Garden, Fairfield County was known as probably one of the most tumultuous districts in the state. We had 12 superintendents over a 20-year period. I tell people they were changing superintendents like they were changing socks. And the first thing that I recognized was that we needed a cultural shift in order for success to continue to thrive, and not necessarily just a bumping success, but consistency. We needed a cultural revolution, if you will. And so I give you that context to say, I think the first thing that needs to happen before you start talking about what needs to be in place to shift the baton is to ensure that a culture has been created where you can have new leadership to take the baton and keep running. And it's not necessarily a culture that is centered on simply one transformational leader, but it is embedded in the culture in the entire system. And I like to hope that during my departure that I had helped to cultivate a culture that would allow the baton to be passed. And so when I announced after 12 years that I was going to retire, there was quite a bit of anxiety among people within the system and people without the system. But I reminded them that our success is not a function of JR. Our success was a function, hopefully, of the system that we had created over that past 12-year period. And the people who really make the engine run are still here. The systems that are in place are still in place. And so step one is to remind the people who are part of the system is that the system will be fine, and the system is not based on me being at the helm. And it's important that you have leadership that is not invested in just being praised for their success, but who are invested in the system continuing to thrive even after they depart.
It is. I love that. And we definitely love that you mentioned systems, because that's exactly what our teaching is all about. Systems of respect, excellence, and accountability. So since you brought up systems and that really being the foundation, what types of systems did you make sure were in place to shift that culture from being tumultuous, like you talked about earlier, to where it is right now, which is really thriving and doing well?
So what I'll tell you, but before you get to the systems and you start talking about what needs to happen to make that shift, there are a couple of things that have to undergird any system. And I think this is a mistake that sometimes that people make. The first thing that has to undergird any system for sustainable success is trust. And you could come in with the best plans known to man, but if those plans are on a rocky and shaky foundation, then they will not be sustainable. And when I came to Fairfield County, I came into an environment where no one really trusts anyone. And in fact, everybody was telling me, Dr. Green, you can't trust that person. You can't trust that person. You got to watch out for this person. And I mean, it was like, I don't know how to describe it, but it was a system where everybody was in a state of panic and distrust. And so the first step is, how do we develop that kind of trust where teachers trust leadership, where parents trust the system, where the community trusts the system to do what's in the best interest of students, where the superintendent trusts the board, where the board trusts the superintendent. I mean, I can go on and on, but the first step is, how do you develop a system of trust? The next thing that has to occur, I think, before we can start talking about system, is develop a mindset of continuous growth and improvement and high expectations for all kids. And that doesn't mean that all kids will achieve at the same level, because that's unrealistic. What we say is that all kids should maximize their personal potential, whatever that personal potential may be. And so I tell people, and parents would always, kind of be perplexed when I would say this, and I'd meet with them and their kids. I said, I'm not interested in your kids making all A's, all B's, or making A, B honor roll. I'm just interested in your kid doing the best that he or she can be. Doing the best that he or she can be.
I'm so impressed, Dr. Green, because you're phenomenal. Like, we know, and we know the legend. Like, we're fortunate to be South Carolinians, so we've been able to watch this work. And if you're not from South Carolina, you need to take some time and just take a look at some of the things that Sheikah shared from his bio. It's very powerful. But I admire you so much, because you had to do for an entire district what most of us have to do when we go into a school. You go into a school and you have to create those systems of trust, and you have to build those kinds of relationships that are going to make people want to work for you, with you, around you, because they do trust that you have the best interests of them and everything that relates to them in mind. But I am I guess I'm even more impressed by the fact that this is something that you did. And I know you're not going to want to accept the credit for this, but you did this relatively quickly. I don't know if you noticed or not, but one of your board members is on here right now, because those people love and support you down there. And it did not take a long time to make that happen. So I just want to say to you publicly how much we admire the work that you've done, yes, but we also appreciate the fact that this work was done, and it was done very intentionally, because that's a very big part of the work that we do. Intentionality is key, but it also was done you went in like a whirlwind, like, okay, this has to happen, and this has to start happening right now. And that kind of is the way that your legacy has been built. Like you started from the ground up and built this amazing legacy that still is thriving down there. We're so excited for Dr. Swilly and how things are going. I mean, and again, she credits you for being a major part of what has her in the national spotlight at this moment. So you've done some incredible things, and we're very thankful.
Well, I appreciate you saying those very kind words. I tell you, when Dr. Swilly, and I hired Swilly as a first-year principal during my second year as superintendent of schools. And so I was there for 12 years. When I left, she had been there for 11 years. And so now this is her 12th year. And so I have seen her grow as a leader over those 12-year periods. But I was on a flight from Orlando. I spoke at a conference in Florida. I wasn't in Orlando, but I was in Florida. And then I had a connection in Texas, and I was leaving Texas the night they were making the announcement for National Principal of the Year. And so I was on my phone trying to see it, but then I had to get on the plane before they made the announcement. And so I'm like, I'm not going to get to hear the announcement. I was just so excited about Dr. Swilly potentially winning it. So I'm on the plane, and I didn't have internet service, but somehow a text came through my phone that indicated Tracy won. And you don't know me, but I'm not a crier. Okay, I'm kind of old fashioned, men don't cry kind of person. But when that text came through my phone, it brought me to literal tears on that plane. And it brought me to literal tears on that plane. And I jokingly said to Swilly, you responsible for me crying in front of a bunch of strangers on American Airlines. But that's just how excited and proud I am of the just tremendous things that she has accomplished over her career.
Most definitely. And I'm sure that was a full circle moment for you. Just really seeing all of that hard work of those systems being put into place, coming to fruition, but being recognized on a national level, because being in a small rural area, because we're right next door to you in Chester, we know what people see when they see the zip code. We know what people hear when they hear Fairfield and Chester. And so great accomplishments like that makes them take a second look or hear something differently than they perceived from the beginning. So the work is so important. And like Tammy said, we're just so appreciative. And I'm putting this back up because I put in some pictures of you exiting your retirement. You had several celebrations, and you know that when you are celebrated to this magnitude by your schools, the students, and the staff members, that you did some phenomenal work in Fairfield. So
it has made a difference, sir.
Most definitely. And it still fits in, though, with our systems. When you talked about trust, trust is embedded in our system of respect. And then when you talked about having that mindset for growth, that fits right into our systems of excellence as well. Any closing remarks for people who are changing leadership? Any final words of wisdom that you would like to give them?
Yeah, I think for any leader who has experienced success and has grown to really be respected by your stakeholders, please leverage those connections and that credibility to provide assurance.
Mm-hmm.
Where people really value your assessment and your evaluation and your perspective, use that to really ensure them that this system's success is not based on me.
Mm-hmm.
The system's success is based on the systems that we've created. And so this culture of trust that has been created, if it is truly a culture of trust, it should exist. It should thrive even in my departure. If we have really created systems of high expectations and systems of continuous improvement, it should really thrive even during my departure. And so, one of the most important things that a leader who is departing must do is to provide assurance to the people even after those systems have been created. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Even after they've been created, is to provide assurances to the people who remain that the system will be fine because the system is much bigger than I. And so that's what I would probably leave with anyone as you think about how you create an environment where new leadership can thrive.
Thank you, Dr. Green. That is definitely the beauty of a system. When the people who worked on the systems are removed, the systems still remain in place. And that is the beauty of the work, because no matter who comes and goes, and sometimes that happens a lot in small rural areas or even urban areas. So when the systems are in place, the children do not suffer. Thank you so much for joining us. We wanted to make sure we highlight that if you're in Charleston on January 17th, Sister, You've Been on My Mind, where we will be able to connect, converse, and collaborate with Black women in leadership or aspiring women who would like to go into leadership. That will take place. If you click on our website, you can see where you can register. And Dr. Green is also hosting courageous conversations in challenging times with several of his colleagues that are listed here. Also on January 17th from 10:15 to 12:15. So you can sign up on the conference app if you will be attending SCAPSB. So thank you all for joining us this Saturday. Make sure that you hop over to Principal Kafele's page next. He has some phenomenal guests coming on. And remember that we create real spaces, and we appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. Let me get to the outro.